Hi everyone, I'm Mark Leeming from the 1 Minute Preacher. I hope your day is going well. Now in this video I briefly want to talk about the dangers of wokeness, the threat that being woke presents just not upon our culture but also upon the church as well. Now some of you may be thinking, what on earth is wokeness? What does it mean to be woke? Well, essentially it means that you have become consciously aware of various forms of social injustices perpetrated by Western culture upon various minority groups. And the term, I believe, originated in the early to mid 20th century amongst the American black community, and understandably, that was the time of genuine systematic racism, the era of Jim Crow and segregation. However, in more recent times, in the last few years, being woke has gone mainstream, and it's most popular amongst white liberals who are out to prove to the world that, hey, they're not racist and they are woke about every other issue as well. Trying to be woke in its present form is like feeding a monster. It's what I would say is sort of like the new blood sport of our day. It's where people on places such as Twitter, they try to outmaneuver each other in proving that they have the highest and purest social conscience of all, where you gain points by how many people you can label as Nazis, as fascists, as sexists, as bigots, as racists, even if those people aren't any of those things. But that's not the point. Where the name of the game is to appear to be the most morally outraged over something. And if you can be one of the first to denounce something that's trending on Twitter or being reported on the news, then that means you will get more likes and retweets, proving that you truly are really woke. But here's the most dangerous thing of trying to feed the woke monster. The woke monster feeds upon outrage, on anger, on hatred, and its appetite is never satisfied. In fact, it demands more and more outrage, hatred, and anger. So what do you do when you reach a point where everybody's been morally outraged over everything that can be morally outraged over? Well, when the whole point of wokeness these days is to prove that you're more woke than everybody else, you essentially have to invent new things, new forms of social injustice to be morally outraged over. Now, some of you may be scratching your heads right now and be asking, well, what does wokeness then have to do with actual social justice, with helping those who are victims? Well, nothing, and that's the point of modern day wokeness. It's not about social justice. It's all about self-righteous people trying to make themselves look good. And this may come as a surprise to some of you, but Jesus actually faced similar people in his day. The religious leaders, the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the teachers of the law, the scribes, who purported to be defenders of God's law and upholders of God's laws, and yet Jesus would constantly rail against them because he knew their motives. He knew that they really didn't give a rip about God's laws. They didn't really care about being holy or righteous or godly. They use the good things. They use the things of God for their own self-promotion. And as believers today, since our mandate as Christians is to be a voice for the voiceless, to be the defenders of the oppressed, the downtrodden, it's very easy for us in our culture today to get that same spirit of our culture and want to feed that woke monster. But as believers, we are called to do everything out of love and out of concern. So let's speak out against any form of social injustice without feeding that woke monster.